Many years ago, in a peaceful village called Green Ridge, there lived a respected scholar named Anand Verma. People from nearby villages admired him for his wisdom, calm nature, and fair judgment. Anand spent most of his life guiding people through important ceremonies, offering advice, and teaching young villagers about discipline, honesty, and thoughtful decision-making. Whenever someone faced confusion or conflict, they often visited Anand because they trusted his experience and clear thinking. Anand had a son named Kiran. As Anand grew older, he began teaching Kiran everything he knew: how to speak politely to people, how to conduct traditional ceremonies in the village, and most importantly, how to make wise decisions. One evening, as they sat outside their home watching the sunset, Anand spoke seriously to his son. "Kiran," he said, "one day you will take over my responsibilities. People will come to you for guidance. When that happens, remember that your work should never be driven by the desire for money or praise. And one more thing, never trust someone blindly. Listen to others, but always think carefully before making a decision. Experience is the best teacher in life." Kiran nodded and replied respectfully, "I understand, Father. I will follow your advice." However, although Kiran respected his father, he secretly loved comfort and rewards more than responsibility. Unlike Anand, who often helped people without expecting anything in return, Kiran preferred situations where he could gain something valuable. He also had another weakness. He believed almost anything people told him without questioning it. One afternoon, while Anand and Kiran were sitting outside their home, a cheerful villager named Deepak came to visit. "Good afternoon, Anandji," Deepak said warmly. "Welcome, Deepak," Anand replied. "How are things in the village?" "Everything is going well," Deepak said. "I came to bring good news. The wealthy landowner of Silverfield is celebrating his daughter's wedding today. He has invited people from many nearby villages and plans to honor 100 respected guests with gifts and a grand feast." Anand smiled but shook his head slightly. "That sounds wonderful, but I am too old to travel long distances now. My son Kiran will go in my place." Deepak looked at Kiran and said happily, "That would be perfect. Everyone respects your father greatly. You should definitely attend." Kiran felt excited at the thought of delicious food and valuable gifts. After quickly preparing for the journey, he began walking towards Silverfield. The road was long and dusty, and after several miles of walking under the hot sun, Kiran became tired and thirsty. He stopped under a large tree beside the road to rest. While he was sitting there, two young travelers named Arjun and Nikhil passed by. They noticed that Kiran looked exhausted and offered him some water. After thanking them, Kiran began chatting with them. "Where are you traveling?" Arjun asked. "I am going to Silverfield," Kiran replied proudly. "The landowner there is hosting a wedding celebration and honoring many guests with gifts and a grand feast." The two young men exchanged amused looks. "Oh," Nikhil said casually, "you haven't heard the latest news?" "What news?" Kiran asked. "In the town of Rivergate, another wealthy man is hosting a huge gathering today. People say the gifts there are even bigger, and the feast is far more impressive than the one in Silverfield." Kiran's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes," Nikhil said confidently. "If you want better rewards, you should come with us to Rivergate." The thought of receiving larger gifts tempted Kiran immediately. Without thinking much, he decided to change his direction and follow the two travelers toward Rivergate. As they continued walking, they soon met an older traveler named Harry sitting beside the road with a few companions. "Where are you heading?" Harry asked. "To Rivergate," Kiran replied. "We heard there is a better celebration there than in Silverfield." Harry looked at him thoughtfully. "Who told you that?" Kiran pointed toward Arjun and Nikhil. The older man sighed. "Have you ever attended a celebration in Silverfield before?" "No," Kiran admitted. "And have these young men attended one?" Harry asked. The travelers looked embarrassed and shook their heads. Harry spoke calmly. "Then how can anyone be sure? Many people repeat things they only half understand. Wise people don't change their decisions just because of rumors." Kieran suddenly felt uncertain. After thinking for a moment, he said, "You're right. Even if I miss the gifts, I can still enjoy the feast in Silverfield." So he turned around again and began walking back toward Silverfield. By the time he reached halfway there, the afternoon had already passed. On the road, he met two villagers from Greenridge returning home. "How was the celebration?" Kieran asked eagerly. "It was amazing," one of them said happily. "There was so much food, sweet desserts, fried snacks, and rich dishes of every kind, but we ate until we could barely walk." Kieran felt hopeful. "Is there still food left?" The villager shook his head. "No, everything finished hours ago." Kieran felt disappointed, but still thought he might find food in Rivergate, so once again he turned around and started walking in the opposite direction. By the time he reached the road leading to Rivergate, he met another group of travelers returning from there. "How was the gathering?" Kieran asked anxiously. "It was wonderful," one man said happily. "The host gave generous gifts and served a fantastic meal." Kieran asked nervously, "Is the feast still going on?" The traveler smiled kindly. "No, my friend, we were the last guests. Everything is over now." Tired, hungry, and embarrassed, Kieran slowly walked back towards Greenridge as the sun began to set. When he finally reached home, Anand looked at him curiously and asked him, "How was the celebration in Silverfield?" Kieran lowered his head and told his father everything, how he changed directions several times after listening to different people, and how he ended up missing both gatherings. Anand listened patiently and then spoke calmly. "My son, when you start a journey with a clear goal, you should not abandon it every time someone tells you something tempting. Listening to others is good, but decisions must come from careful thinking." Kieran nodded silently. Anand continued, "But the real reason you kept changing your path was not confusion, it was greed. You hoped to gain more and more, and in the end you lost everything." Kieran looked up with regret in his eyes. "You are right, father," he said quietly. "If I had stayed on my original path, I would at least have enjoyed the celebration there." Anand gently placed his hand on his son's shoulder. In life, many people will give advice, rumors, and promises of something better. If you chase every new opportunity without thinking, you will never reach your destination. But if you stay focused and trust your own judgment, you will move forward with confidence. From that day onward, Kieran began taking his father's teaching seriously. He learned patience, discipline, and the importance of thinking before making decisions. Over time, people in Greenridge began to respect him just as much as they respected his father. Whenever someone asked him for advice, he would smile and say that the greatest lesson he ever learned came from a long journey where he ended up hungry but much wiser than before. The moral of the story is that greed and blindly following others can lead us away from our goals, but wisdom, patience, and trust in our own decisions help us reach the right path in life.